Hey friends, me again. This video I want to do is about talking about the foods that I know have caused a bit of controversy and confusion and a lot of questions. And so I want to spend some time just explaining. I've already posted this morning about spinach, just explaining my stance on spinach. And so the three foods that really were highly controversial from the food list that I posted a few days ago was about what to add and what to remove from the liver if you want to support your liver, right? Because this past couple of weeks we're talking a lot about liver health, and and we released this new product, the daily liver detox thing, with got all the nice stuff in there. But so we thought, we want to support you through nutrition as well, and I know it created a lot of controversy and confusion, and so I want to kind of debunk it and just share with you my experience, so that I'm not doing that to intentionally, I don't know, anger you or to confuse you, right? Or to create some kind of controversy. It's not a clickbait in any way. So I want to give you a sense of context of why I say this. So let's start off with spinach, because one of the things that I put there on the list to remove and replace with other green vegetables was spinach. So here's the deal with spinach. The whole thing about spinach being a healthy food started some time ago, and the whole premise was that it's very high in iron, right? So a lot of women being low in iron suddenly went like, oh, especially I don't want to eat livers that are super high in iron, or I don't want to rely on iron sources from meat because I'm vegetarian or vegan or whatever. I would want to go the healthy way and get it from spinach. And so here's the interesting thing is that spinach, the form of iron that's present in spinach is called non-heme. So non-Heme, non-heme kind of iron. Unfortunately, this kind of iron is extremely poorly absorbable. And so, in fact, there's another research paper that I found that showed that by eating spinach, you're actually inhibiting the iron absorption from meat, for example, during the same time. So not only is it high in iron that is not very absorbable, but it actually prevents the real iron from, or highly absorbable, the heme iron from meat to be absorbed. So kind of a double whammy. And then so that's one reason. The second reason is, and that's a bigger reason why I just want you to be very careful with spinach, is that it's extremely high in oxalates. And so I think it's a little bit of a personal story for me, and I will share a little bit more as I go. That 8 years ago, I took an antibiotic that changed my microbiome. And please do not think that if you take an antibiotic, you can just take a whole bunch of probiotics and just fix everything. It doesn't quite work that way. And so it has wiped out specific bacteria in my gut that are responsible for degrading oxalates, right? And so oxalates are these really, if you look at them in the microscope, they are this really super jagged, sharp crystals, right? That cause a lot of health issues. And a lot of people think like, oh, I don't have a problem with oxalates because I don't have kidney stones. Turns out that Western medicine hasn't caught up yet. And that's the reason why I say that I think it's going to be one of the biggest next big revelation in functional nutrition and medicine, the amount of damage that oxalates are actually causing people without knowing that. So let's talk about that. And so what are the symptoms like of you having a problem with oxalates, even without realizing? First of all, if you've taken antibiotics in the past, which I'm assuming that probably 99% of us here have taken antibiotic, not because it was a lifestyle choice, but because you had a medical condition like the way I did, right? Or actually, I had an emergency in August this year. I had cellulitis, which is like a staph infection on my leg, and I had no choice. And I barely made it back home because I was so much in pain, and I had low-grade fever, and I was so exhausted and foggy brain. I couldn't work for a couple of weeks when I returned from my East Coast trip. And some of you may know I was on a camper van on the East Coast and doing this amazing trip, and my health started declining ever since I took that antibiotic. So let's talk about the symptoms. And you might be actually really surprised of how many things are connected to your sensitivity to oxalates. So let's start off with, I already mentioned that pain, right? So if you're experiencing this chronic pain and you've done the elimination diet, and you're like, I've taken out, because Magdalena said, take out dairy, take out gluten, take out sugar or minimize sugar, and eggs and all the things that we do in the elimination diet, and I'm still in pain. that was me, right? And it's not just like it's muscular pain, but it's also joint pain. You can also experience it as bone pain, right? And so that's one thing. The other huge symptom is like a burning sensation. So it could be a burning in your vulva. So you may call it vagina. This is not your vagina, but it's your vulva. You could be constant UTIs that even though you've done DMNOs and you've done a lot of these protocols for healthy urinary tract, the infections just keep coming back. You've got burning in your vagina, no matter what you do. You got burning in your rectum, right, when you're pooping, again, because of these crystals being so sharp. But then it also goes to mental functions. People who have like this constant brain fog, constant fatigue. In fact, chronic fatigue syndrome is a diagnosis by elimination. What it means, or by deduction, it basically means that the doctor goes down and say, you don't have a thyroid problem, you don't have a menopause, like going down the list of things that can be causing chronic, horrendous fatigue. And when they're left with nothing, then it's considered chronic fatigue. Here's the thing. Let me give you an example. I had a housekeeper who came here once as a replacement for my regular lady, and she says, I have to get up 3 times at night to go and take a Epsom salt bath because I'm in so much pain. I'm so inflamed, and I'm constantly in pain, and I'm on pain meds for the past 10 years. She says, I'm not addicted, but I got always the same amount every day. But she's like, I know it's messing up with my liver. She's got a lot of extra weight. She's been having, and here's the thing, here's a woman who makes a living from being active, right? I mean, she needs to work physically to make a living. And she was absolutely miserable. And I said to her, have you looked at oxalates? She's like, what the heck she was doing keto as well, right? And she said, ever since she started keto, she's actually started feeling worse. Because, so I'm like, so what are you eating? She's like, sweet potato and a lot of spinach, right? All these really super high oxalate foods. And I said to her, here are the symptoms. And she said, oh my God, I've got burning feet. So I said to her, okay, well, so why don't you try going on a low oxalate diet for a couple of weeks and see whether it helps you. She's, like I said, she's not my regular housekeeper. So she texted me just about a couple of weeks afterwards. And she says, oh my God, I think you're right. My pain is gone by half. I only get up once a night. I tell you, I mean, my heart felt so full when I got that text message from her, because this was a woman who was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and they don't know what the heck is causing this, right? And here she is doing keto, like she's really taking care of herself, right? Her husband is like super supportive and she can't figure this out and she's so debilitated. So, guess what? It looks like oxalates are her issue. But let's continue this. So, somebody you're saying here, Chris is saying, I have broken glass like feelings in my elbow when I place it down on the table. Very good example. That could be very well be oxalate. So think of anything sharp, anything burning, that is a very oxalate sort of related thing. Another interesting one is that oxalates also like to deposit in the thyroid. So if you have done a lot of work around your thyroid, and you're like following Dr. Isabella Wentz, and you've done all the protocols, and you've replaced all the inflammatory foods and blah, 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 right? You've done all of that and there's nothing is working. Then I'll say, try the low oxalate diet, because oxalates deposited in the thyroid gland, inhibiting it from producing the T4 hormone, right? So that's another big one. So let me just give you an example of like how I experience oxalate. So first of all, I took an antibiotic 8 years ago because I was dealing with some medical condition. I thought I had no choice. Bad choice. I didn't know any better. I have to just accept and forgive myself for doing this. And that's when I started putting weight on like never before. And I will, if I have the time today, I will pull out a photo from my photo shoot. We didn't use these photos where I'm just like puffy. And it's not, and hey, you guys, I'm not saying this here that like, oh, I was fat. It's not that. It's just that I was just puffy and I was inflamed and I wasn't feeling good, right? I just didn't know what the hell was going on. And I didn't make the connection that it was oxalates until much later. But if I show you the photo from our photo shoot, like my arms are like this, like I've got all this extra, it's not even weight. It's just, I'm just swollen, you know? And here's the thing, like many of you are also struggling with losing weight because of the inflammatory response. And I'm not saying that oxalates are the answer to everything, right? It's, it could be something else. Maybe your problem is you just have to, all you have to do is just get off gluten, and then it solves all your health issues. I wish that was just as simple for everybody as that. But anyway, so in my case, the oxalate thing, when I took it in August, that was where it was coming from, is that I was having a tea in the morning, a black tea with cacao in it. So cacao is extremely high in oxalates, same as spinach, right? And then and then I have chocolates, and I'll have sweet potatoes, and so all of that combination, just a bad idea. And the way it was manifesting in my case is that I started putting on weight, like everything just started feeling tighter, and I'm thinking, I have not changed anything. Like I'm still eating the same healthy diet as I was before. And then the pain started coming on. It was so bad, you guys, because I drove from Maine, right? Maine on the East Coast, all the way to Colorado, which was like I think it's like a 14, 16-hour drive. I did it over 4 days. And a healthy me would have been no problem. I was struggling so much that I will go to a gym 2 times a day, in the mornings and the evenings, just to take a hot shower, just to release the tension. I was doing Tiger Balm. I was doing all sorts of different oils that I was getting from health food stores along the way, just to get me through the pain, because it was like, when you're sitting, when you're sitting, you just stiffen up. And it was here. It was my legs. I had to like pound my right leg, in order to relieve the pain. It was horrendous. I would roll on my roller, and that will give me a relief for about an hour, and then I'll go back. So anyway, you can probably see, I'm like, oh my God, I can actually see my muscles now. I don't have this hanging thing down here anymore. And it's not about vanity. It's just, I'm telling you this because my inflammation has reduced so much just by figuring out what was causing that inflammation. In my case, it was oxalates. Okay. So now, is oxalate a problem for everyone? Absolutely not, right? But I think it is a much bigger problem than what you guys think that it is. Because like I said, a lot of antibiotics unfortunately kill the one bacterium called Oxalobacter formigenes, and that's the one responsible for degrading oxalates. If you find that, and then since then, I have also found research that shows that people who are put on the type of antibiotics that I was put on, they would also develop kidney stones later on, because Western medicine only attributes oxalate problems with kidney stones, but never looks at all these other hosts of issues. Let me not forget that apart from all that horrendous pain and putting on a lot of weight, I also started having a lot of brain fog. I couldn't focus on my mental energy and enthusiasm for getting. So basically, to put it this way, everything felt like I was pushing myself. If I had to meet my team on a call, I was like, now I have to get another call, right? Like everything felt like a chore. I have to take the dogs out. Now I have to make a meal, right? Like it's a horrible feeling to be pushing yourself like this every day, don't you think? So anyway, but like I did not have burning feet, which some of you may. I did not have a burning. Oh, by the way, also carpal tunnel is another one. Jen, help me out here. What other symptom am I forgetting here? So we talked about brain functions, thyroid issue, a lot of exhaustion and lack of energy, brain fog, depression, a lot of the urinary stuff, recurring UTIs, what else? Burning when you're pooping, right? Let's see, Jen is an expert. Jen is helping me here today. Joint pain. Yeah, so we talked about a lot of pain. So joint pain, bone pain, muscular pain, all of those can be connected with oxalates. So Vicky's asking, how do you know if you're sensitive? Yeah, so the way you know it is, somebody posted on the Spinach post the other just today saying, do the OAT, organic acid test. Great idea. Problem is that it has, if your body is in the mode of depositing oxalates, you're not urinating them out, unfortunately. And so when I did my OAT, I'm actually redoing it right now because my friend got me to do it. But so I will share with you what the results are. But when I did it 7 years ago, when first time I was having problems with oxalates, my OAT was actually looking really decent on the oxalate excretion. And the reason why I think that was happening, even though I ate a bunch of oxalates before testing, and I was feeling really, really tired and I had a lot of pain, but I just did it for the test. And guess what? It just did not show. And the explanation to this is that you basically are depositing the oxalates around your body rather than be excreting them. So it takes about 9 OATs to get a clear picture. I'm not sure about that. So, well, I mean, 9 OATs, that's a lot of money. That's like $300 times 9. Not everybody has the kind of money to test. So the best way to know is that you stay away from oxalates for a couple of weeks and see whether that helps you. Some of you might be a little bit longer, such as 4 weeks or so. So that could be one really great idea. And one other thing I'm just going to say, there's a couple, I want to point you to a couple of resources if you suspect that is your problem. The first one is follow Sally Norton on Instagram. That's a really good resource. And she just published the book, which is pretty good. The only difference between Sally and I in our approach is that Sally is of the opinion that you should be on low oxalates for the rest of your life. I don't subscribe to that because I think it's disempowering, and I'm not interested in staying away from chocolate and such for the rest of my life. So, or to be in pain. And so I'm on a mission to find out what else I can do to, and by the way, that probiotic, that bacterium, that antibiotic killed, you can't find it commercially in supplements. It just doesn't exist. It's an anaerobic bacteria. It's just they can't make it. So I have found other 4 probiotic strains that I'm testing right now that I think they're helping. Yesterday I had some walnuts and I had just a tiny bit of pain this morning, which wasn't bad at all. So anyway, so that's where we are. I think, Jen, what we're going to do is let's break up those videos to next time. Beets are too. Yeah. So Jay, so remember, so somebody's saying beets, really, I love beets. Yeah, no, I get it, and it's, like I said, remember, not everybody has a problem with spinach and with oxalates, right? You need to find out, like, if you're dealing with these mysterious health issues that you've gone from doctor to doctor and you can't find out what it is, and you're still feeling sick and you've got the stuff going on that I mentioned, right? Then it might be a really good idea to be like, let me just check out this oxalate thing. Let me go on a low oxalate diet for a couple of weeks and see whether this is helpful. Another really good resource is Trying Low Oxalates. It's a Facebook group. They have 50,000 people, you guys. If this was not a health problem in our society, they would not have 50,000 followers. It's a private group. Sign up there. You can find all the resources, including Excel sheets. You can download a lot of stuff. And learn about oxalates are a complex issue. Yes, there is issue with mold. There's connection with candida. There is a connection with heavy metals. The purpose of the video is not to discuss the whole thing of oxalates because it's a very rich topic. It's just to bring out the attention to you of like, why did I say spinach? So Jen, I think for today, I need to wrap up because I do have a hard stop today. And so I apologize. I just ran on that very long discussion about oxalates. I hope you find it helpful if you're having these mysterious health conditions. Let's talk about the protein powders and shakes and about eggs on our next live, which is going to be next week. We'll have to move it to another day because on Thursday I'm traveling. Anyway, you'll see that notification. And anyway, if you missed it live, then you can always watch it in a replay. All right. Thanks everyone for being here today. I hope this is helpful. Spinach could be your friend, or it could be a source of a lot of your problems. So just forgive me. It wasn't on purpose. It was just there to help you to kind of be like, check this out. Maybe this could be another one that could help you. All right. Thanks everyone. Bye for now.